Have you ever woken up feeling like you're doing everything right, but something still feels off? Like you're running on autopilot, but your soul is asking for the wheel. Today, we are redefining what it means to get quiet. This isn't about sitting cross legged for 20 minutes and silencing your mind. This is about an active form of meditation that heals your nervous system and helps you hear your own voice again. I'm excited to welcome back Elaine Glass. She is a Hay House author, a master life coach, and the creator of the Get Quiet Way. We are diving into her brand new energy medicine modality, the Nemus Code, and talking about why following your silly little joys might actually be the secret to healing your life. If you've ever felt stuck, scared, or just over it, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. You're listening to the Soul Aligned Self-Care Podcast. I'm your host, Tina Stinson, and I had a stroke at the age of 39 from stress and burnout that shook my world. Now I'm laying it all out, the deep level self-care practices and mindset shifts that I needed that kept me healthy, balanced, and thriving. Join me in this intimate space as we explore healing, resilience, and the soul's journey to alignment. This is where real conversations about deep-level self-care happen. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. This is the second time I'm having you on, and I'm so excited to talk with you again. Last time I had you on, we talked a lot about your book, which is, looking at my notes here, Get Quiet, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And so why don't we start by just letting everybody know what's new in your life and what's going on?
Well, thanks so much for having me on, Tina. It's really an honor to be with you because every podcast you put out, and I listen to every one of them,
Oh, thank
we're,
you.
we're speaking the same language. And when you can find a tribe of people who are awakening to this higher states of consciousness, to this soul connection, and not have it be confusing because it can be, when we're waking up
Mhm.
to this beautiful life that we have, and purpose and meaning in our life, it can feel a little scary, I found
Mhm.
anyway. And so what I've been up to is really helping people not be so scared, if that makes sense. There seems to be like a lot of confusion when you're waking up.
Yeah, I think confusion is very common. And I think, yeah, because there's no exacting method to it, really. You know what I mean?
It is so individual. It's so
Hmm.
individual. And it's not up to us to tell anybody how to do it.
Hmm.
It's such a beautiful blossoming of one's human being. And so what I've been up to since I last was with you, of course, my dream came true and I became a Hay House author and published Get Quiet. Seven simple paths to the truth of who you are. That was my first book, and I was thrilled when that came out. And it has been a ride for the last 2 years, let me tell you. I have able to meet the most amazing people, and also, and I think this happens to a lot of authors and creators, and just anything you put out into the world, you benefit from at some point. Like it's a boomerang effect. Like I even go back
Absolutely.
to read my own book when I need it. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, what I've been up to is going deeper with this Get Quiet message. What I have found and what people didn't really realize with the message, they thought, well, Get Quiet was just like sit in stillness, cross-legged with your eyes closed and don't move for 20 minutes, like transcendental meditation or any type of traditional meditation. And so it's taken me a long time to really communicate the message clearly. And that is getting quiet is actually a very active form of meditation. And that's why
Mhm.
my nervous system really loved it and why it's really been so popular with people is because it's a walking meditation. It's guiding you to things that will help your nervous system calm and regulate which
Hmm.
I needed desperately as a single mom raising two boys on my own, working full time and trying to figure out my life and like, were my kids going to be messed up because of the divorce? Was my health going to still fail? I had been diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroid disease early on in my marriage because of the stress and the
Hmm.
burnout in healthcare that I was in for 30 years. And so it's like, how am I going to get my life together? And most importantly, how am I going to be the best mother and the healthiest mother I could be to my two sons? That was my only focus. And oh, by the way, how did I even get here with my life crashing all around me?
Yeah.
How can I make sure that I never get back to that very dark place? And so in the last 2 years, Get Quiet has helped me and thousands of people who have read the book, and I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, and very similar situation. I had the stroke. I was raising three kids, single mom, had the stroke. And it's true, it's like my first thought was like I have to be here for my kids, but then after that, you're like, well, how can I be the healthiest version of myself and represent put forth what I want to represent for my kids, you know? And it's different for everybody that goes through something like that. And it's also something that's constantly in motion. It's not some kind of an endpoint that you reach and then you're like, I'm here. It's kind of like you figure out how to get there, and then how do you maintain that, which will change over time because you change over time. So it's a lifestyle. There's not one thing that's going to, be the solution to whatever what you're looking for. And that's why, like what you said in the beginning, when you're awakening and you're coming back into yourself, it's different for everybody, right?
Yes, and this is why I love you and your podcast so much because you just get it. I have literally been on over 150, almost 200 podcasts in the last
Wow.
And you are almost maybe the second of person who has literally called it a lifestyle. I have
Hmm.
had people say, "Gosh, Elaine, when I tell them about the paths and getting quiet, and there are seven, as you know, they say to me, 'My God, that feels like it's so much work.'"
Yeah.
And I say, "Well, this is your one precious life. Wouldn't you do anything you possibly could for your emotions to be harmonious, for you to nurture your body in a way where you just feel so much self-love, to have a
Hmm.
clean and clear environment so that there isn't clutter everywhere and things feel calm and for your family and for yourself. I mean, these are the paths that I talk about. And they are a lifestyle. It's just like any nutrition plan. It's just like anything that you commit to doing, an exercise routine. This is the same thing. And I just figured out how, I mean, it took me a decade to figure out how to regulate my nervous system.
Same. Yeah, same.
Yeah, it takes a long time, but I figured
Hmm.
it out and I thought to myself, you know what? I have something here to really help people to be able to move through the world in a really peaceful way. Like
Hmm.
who would not want that? And especially, we haven't talked in a while, but can you imagine like what has happened in the world
Yeah.
just in the last 18 months? I mean, so it's a commitment to oneself and as you say, self-care and ultimately getting to a point where you feel whole and you have so much love for yourself.
Exactly. And I think what some people don't realize when they're at the beginning of this journey is that once you get to a point where you feel really good, it's almost like, tell me if you experience this, but for me, it's like I can't go back. Like it's almost like impossible for me. Like, no, I can't do that. Like if it doesn't feel good in my body, I can't do it. And it sounds so, sometimes when I say it out loud, like to my kids or something, it sounds like a little obnoxious. Like it's almost like I can't do that. Like that's just not, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right, so I'm not going to do it. Okay, mom, like so. But it's like it really, it's almost like touching something hot. Like your body's like, oh my God, that's hot. You can't touch it. You're gonna get burned. That's what it's like to me. It's like just rejected. And I think when you get to a point where you've healed yourself, anything that's really bad for you is very noticeable. Whereas before it wasn't because you were so used to being in that place. And so I think once a person gets over that, maybe that midpoint and starts to feel really good, then they realize that it's so worth the lifestyle and it's not a lot of work. It's actually not. It's actually easier. It's less work when you're more aligned with yourself. Do you agree with that?
100%. Everything you just said is so in alignment to, and you know, it's just like when you eat too much sugar or candy and you just crash. Of course, your brain's going to say, don't do that. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
Everything in moderation. Or if you go and run, 5 miles and your body is aching after, it's like, no, don't push that hard. And I think
Hmm.
that especially for women in midlife, we think that we're that 25-year-old who still can do the same things and should be doing the same things. And it's not that we should be doing the same things.
Yeah. No, yeah, and sometimes it's hard to accept that, right? But then once you realize how like you've changed, everything's changed, and you have to kind of like go like, just kind of like go along with what's changing and go with the flow, I guess you could say,
It
it,
is. It's a
it feels better.
recalibration. It's a
Yeah.
recalibration to the system that actually feels good. It's like someone's
Hmm.
like just giving you like this calm massage on your whole entire body when you feel regulated and in harmony. And so to land the plane, it's like, so how do you get all this good feeling? How do you go from like feeling stuck to feeling like you wake up in the morning and you just feel so good? How do
Hmm.
you go from one point to the next? And so in Get Quiet, I really lay out those steps. But the very first step is always to take care of your body in a different way. That is how we really awaken, is we have to get back into a safe container,
Hmm.
especially after any type of loss or
Very true.
trauma. We just feel, how do we feel safe again to even return back into this beautiful body? And so it's not about how much weights we can, lift, or it's about really tuning in. And this is where the energy medicine modality that I came up with comes into play, because if we can't tune into our body has all the information for us. When they say all the answers are within you,
Hmm.
that used to bother me years ago because I would be like, okay, I don't get that. What do you mean? Be more specific than that. Like
Yeah.
I used to go and go to conferences and listen to all the big spiritual gurus of the time, and I never understood what they were saying. And so whenever I speak, I just want to land the plane for people because I don't want things to be abstract. I want to be very specific. And so this energy medicine modality really helps the person tune in to their bodies so they get to that place of knowing. And it's not
Hmm.
just, it is a certainty down to the depths of their soul.
Hmm. Yeah, and what you said about you can't really move forward until you feel safe in your body is like 100% true. It's like scientifically proven. Like you can't move forward, you can't do anything when your body is in fight or flight because your body's in fight or flight. It's in that moment of, like protection and emergency, and so you don't function when you're there. And so that first step is so important. So everybody's on the other side listening right now, and they're like, how do I do that?
Well, it's interesting because the way I see it visually, and this is way how it came to me. When I say how things come to me, I'm very intuitive. I always have been since I was 3 years old. I remember having these abilities. We all have them, by the way.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, how do we reclaim them if we feel we've lost them, things like that. But I feel like that's my superpower is just being able to be in stillness and in quiet, clean and clear out my energy field enough so that I'm a clear vessel for the divine to come through me. That is really what my purpose is. And so you would call that maybe a sensitive person. There are a lot of sensitives out there. Probably a lot of
Hmm.
your listeners, including you, are sensitives. And I believe that our purpose in this lifetime is to be sensitive so that we could bring in and facilitate healings on earth
Hmm.
and to embrace that part of ourselves and not have that be scary.
Yeah, and the way that you do that is exactly by getting quiet and clearing and connecting and being grounded and so doing all those things. And I think that a big misconception that people have is that like only certain people can do that. But you're right, like everybody can do that. It's just that everything around us is kind of fighting against it. Like we're being bombarded with so much information um, everywhere, like our eyes, our ears, everything. And in order to get quiet, I would say that now in today's day, it's a lot more difficult to get to that place than it was, say, 100 years ago or so. Like, really difficult, especially if it's something that you're not used to doing. So, if you had to give someone advice that was listening right now to how to like get started to do something like that, what would you tell them?
I love the first thing in the morning. And a lot of times we had that extra 15, 20 minutes. We don't have to rush out of bed because maybe
Hmm.
we don't have little kids anymore that we can afford that time instead of just grabbing our phone right away. I feel like the yummiest time of the day to get quiet and to tune in is first thing in the morning when we wake up, and we might even just still be in that theta wave state where we're just not fully awake, but we're still a little bit asleep. And there's a lot of receptivity that your soul and your body love to come together and commingle in that early morning hour. It doesn't have to be early, it doesn't be like 6 a.m., but whenever you just intuitively, just your body wakes itself up. Instead
Yeah.
of like jumping out of bed, if you can just lay there and calmly listen to your breath. I had one client who she was so funny because I had told her to do this, I'd suggested that to her. And she'd wear earplugs in at night because her husband would snore, but he'd leave in the morning. And so she'd just have herself in bed with her earplugs. And she told me, she goes, you know what, Elaine? It was the most amazing thing to be able to hear my own breath in the morning with the earplugs on. And
Oh, that's
and I
interesting.
I did what you did, what you told me to do, and I took those extra 15, 20 minutes. She actually fell back asleep for another 45 minutes. And a lot of times, unless you wear like a device like an Aura ring or something that's monitoring your sleep, a lot of times we may even feel like we've gotten enough sleep, but we haven't.
Hmm.
Have you ever had that happen
Oh,
where
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
you wake
Like
up
I'll
and you're
sleep.
wide awake and you're like,
Yeah.
and it's like, are you going to give yourself permission
Hmm.
to tune into your body in the morning and say, am I really ready to get up?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually really that is really hard for me because once I wake up in the morning, I'm like my mind starts going like, okay, I'm doing this today, even if it's like nothing bad, like exciting, just like and so um staying in bed. I'm doing a yoga nidra certification, and so sometimes in the morning I do a yoga nidra, and sometimes I have to say it doesn't. I can't get into that state, but sometimes it's so wonderful. It's so powerful, and it's very interesting, like how I feel. But like tuning into yourself and asking yourself that question is something that I just started doing, like in my 50s. Like I didn't do that in my 40s, so I never did that before. I just kind of did what I had to. But like in my 50s, when I'm gonna work out, I'm like how do I feel today? God, I feel really tired. Like I feel so tired. Maybe I'll just do like a yin yoga where I'm not really pushing myself. Maybe I'll just go for a walk instead of like a run, and so like I never did that before. I was just like, oh, I'm running today, so I'm running today. Like it doesn't matter how I feel. I'm just gonna run. And so I think that I'm gonna do that tomorrow morning. I'm gonna try to sit in stillness and without the yoga nidra, I'm just gonna do the like sit in stillness and do my breath and see how I feel. I'm curious what'll happen.
Well, it's interesting because what I have people report back, and I always will say this, that if you want real clear guidance, and I think we're always feeling lost in some aspects of life,
Mm-hmm.
that feeling of just feeling lost, like what's next? Where do I go next? What should I do about this or that? And in those quiet moments comes guidance and clarity from a whole different dimension.
Yeah.
And when I say to you, you are your own guru, you are your own psychic, you are your own medium. This is where that guidance is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then
And
you have peace in that moment. And those are the moments that guide your life in the best direction for you in that moment in time. And
yeah.
that's what it means to me to feel good.
Yeah. And when you tune into it, and then you don't just tune into it and you don't just like hear it, but when you actually follow it, because a lot of people would be like, you know, what was that? Like, or what was that? That was just me making stuff up, or that was just my imagination, or what was I just making stuff up for, or whatever. Like really paying attention and being like, yeah, I should do that. And then just following it, even if it doesn't seem to like make sense or you know what I mean? Like it's that's like kind of new for me, like in my 50s, definitely. Like I never did that before. But I think one of the reasons for that is I have so much space now, you know? My kids are grown. I'm not like in a hustle mentality anymore. I'm kind of like just going with the flow and like paying attention to what makes me happy and do. So I feel like I'm so much more receptive for that. But you don't have to be in that space to do this. Like all you have to do is, like you said, get quiet and do that. So tell me about, I know you have something, I don't know if it's I don't know if I want to call it something new because you've always been doing this work, but the is it the Nemus Code?
It's the Nemus Code, yes.
Yeah,
It's an
can
energy medicine modality.
yeah, tell me
And
about that.
to give you some background, I think you might remember that I was a dental hygienist
Hmm.
for over 20 years in my previous life and graduated from Northwestern Dental School, Northwestern University in Chicago, had a great education, come from a dental background family,
Hmm.
and loved always being in service to humanity. And I found that I loved being in healthcare.
Yeah.
And I entered healthcare and dentistry in the 80s. I'm going to date myself in the 80s, back when the AIDS epidemic was really roaring.
Hmm.
And I was the type of person that would go and when a lot of them, AIDS patients weren't being treated because people were frankly afraid
Hmm.
to touch them and be exposed to their blood and the needles and sharp instruments in dentistry, that didn't bother me. And I wanted them to be cared for just like anybody else. And so I started my profession in this era of really caring and having empathy and being, as a sensitive person, sensitive to someone who was quite ill. And
Hmm.
so over about a course of 20 years, I treated 50,000 patients, probably more.
Wow.
So if you can
That's crazy.
imagine my hands hovering over them, hovering over their face, their mouth,
Mhm.
their bodies for 20 years. I look back Tina, and I say that was my life class in
Mm-hmm.
terms of energy. You can't make this stuff up. I don't know why. And this is the other thing. You never know really why you're doing something until you figure out years down the road, oh, that was why I did that.
Mm-hmm.
Because after 20 years, I was really burned out of dentistry. But now I look back and I think, oh my gosh, I needed all of that information to do what I'm doing right now. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that when people feel lost in life, all they have to do is say, oh, and start to connect the dots as to what they were doing and now what they're doing now. And they'll be able to understand why they had to have that experience. So I now know why I had to sit with over 50,000 people because now what
Mm-hmm.
I've developed this energy modality only because I was able to do my own get quiet way
Mm-hmm.
and clean and clear out and be the clearest vessel. It's like doing your own mental, emotional hygiene every day to stay
Yeah.
clean and clear. That is the way you bring in from these other dimensions or the field, as I call it, where every potential for you is. That's the place you can connect to bring into this earthly plane what you are meant to do in this lifetime.
That's wonderful. I love to be able to like speak openly about this with someone because there's not a lot of people in my life that I've talked to about this. But I think that some people, when they're looking for what their purpose is, they're looking in all the wrong places. And I think one of the things that came to me kind of recently, actually, was that it's really very simple. It's about really tuning into yourself, finding out what really brings you the most joy, and then in that time period, because of course that's going to change over time, right? But what brings you the most joy in that time period? Doing more of that, doing it like go all in, don't just half-ass it, right? Like going all in and doing it to the best of your ability, and that's it. That's your purpose. It doesn't have to be like a job or a career or something. It doesn't have to be like something really magnificent either. Like if your purpose is you want to be a good mom, then that's your purpose. You know what I mean? And I think people have this expectation of themselves. Like sometimes when I talk to my children, you know, one of my children is in her 30s. She doesn't say this as much, but my younger ones are like, what am I supposed to do in the world? Like I feel like I'm behind. Like what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, you're just figuring it out. Just, you might never like fall into one thing. And I think honestly, that could be quite boring falling into one thing unless you really, really love it. But like every time you do something, just do the best that you can and take the experience with you and move on to the next thing when you want to. So tuning into that, being able to tune into getting that information, like those I don't know what to call it. Kind of like, well, people call it downloads sometimes, right? So it can be super, super powerful way to begin to learn more about yourself.
100%. And I love that. I love how you guide your children. It's really refreshing. So I want to mention that and honor you for that. Uh,
Thank you.
yeah, I think that we judge ourselves so much and we let the outside noise determine what it is we should be doing,
Hmm.
that we totally lose sight of the innovation that lives inside of us.
Yes. So well said.
And so when the Nemus Code came to me, um,
You have to really pay attention because, oh, I think you froze. Can you hear me?
yeah,
Oh,
you
there you
first.
are. Okay. Froze for a moment.
Yeah.
Your eyes were closed. I was like, I think she's frozen. I don't know if it's me or you. I'm not really sure. Um,
You froze at the
uh,
same time, I think. So,
okay, good. I lost my train of thought now. Like I totally lost where I was.
well, it's just these downloads,
Hmm.
these in intuition and the ability to give ourselves permission to
Yeah.
trust what we hear and mostly what we feel in our body.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, do we get this excitement fluttering within us in our belly or our chest or our hearts? Like, do we get more energy because something excites us and we want to explore it, even if it's just for the day?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All of those moments add up to to a week, to a month, to a year of excitement.
Hmm.
And we don't have to be like, oh, well, like for example, I was totally into a couple of months ago, all I wanted to do was look up on Etsy these old, like 1800, 1900 year silver tea um, uh, little sets.
Okay.
I was obsessed. I was like, oh my God, I totally want to like buy them. I want to, maybe my mind goes, oh, maybe I'll sell them. Maybe I'll make a business out of them. Like, I'm like that visionary who's always got an idea.
Yeah.
I know that about myself. And so I was like, oh, just see where this goes, Elaine. Like, don't put the pressure on yourself. You're excited in this moment. And literally 2 days later, I was over it. I was done with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I'm the
but I
same
gave
way.
myself permission for the excitement to move through my body,
Hmm.
to feel the joy that it brought me, and to give myself permission to have it just be that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I have to say, very recently, I've begun to like shift my career, so to speak. So I was doing a lot of coaching last year, and I began to get a little burnt out. Like I absorb everything, and I was doing everything I possibly could, like in between clients, I was doing breath work and like just trying to clear my energy. And I just felt really burnt out and like I wasn't showing up for people the way I wanted to. And so I was like, I'm going to try to move away from coaching. And I was talking to a friend about it. I was like, I'm just going to ease out of it like slowly, because I don't want to do anything abruptly. I still like coaching, but I just can't do it at the level I'm doing right now. And like a week later, every one of my clients canceled. Like I had like one client left, and I was so panicked. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's the universe saying, okay, here you go. We granted you your wish. And then I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? And so I'm a meditation creator, so I create recordings and stuff like that. So I really like stepped into that because I liked it. It felt good. I love the whole creation process from like writing the meditation, adding the music, the recording, doing all that stuff. And I just really stepped into it and started doing more of that. And then that kind of moved into, I started doing artwork again, which was something I grew up doing and then just stopped while I was raising kids and stuff like that. I mean, we did like crafty stuff, but not like art. So I'm back into my art and I start making it and selling it and like stepping into that. And one of the things I kept running into, and this is very interesting, was that I got nervous because I spent so much of my life building my coaching practice, and I was just like, oh, okay, okay, I'm done with that, and I can't possibly be able to like make a living doing this. It's way too easy and too much fun. Like it's just, but then I'm like, no, Tina, you do. You get to do that because you're going in the right direction because it feels good. But I think a lot of people hit that place where they're like, but I'm supposed to, and I should be doing this. And this is not what it's supposed to look like. It's not supposed to be this easy. And I think that's something I've always struggled with just because I've always lived in that kind of like hustle state, that fight or flight state. And now this feels like so good. But I do think that that's a roadblock for some people. Like they just feel like they should be doing something else. And you said the word should earlier before we froze, like you were talking about that. They let the outside world determine what we're doing in our lives.
And I love that you listened because you really were listening to your soul,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the soul is never wrong. It's always
Yeah.
right. And it's
Yeah.
always calm and it's always loving. And it's always going to guide you in the best direction for you in that moment. And you trusted and you listened and you took action. I think where people get stuck is their nervous systems get reactive.
Yes. Yeah.
And so how can you notice the self-doubt? Like this will never pan out. I can't make money from doing it. How am I going to
Mm-hmm.
do this? It's okay. How can I see that these negative thoughts are streaming through me right now? My body's feeling it, and it's my nervous system scared to move in that direction. And to instead of judging and feeling the pain and suffer, notice it right away and start implementing your nervous system regulators.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that will always get you over the hump. Now, it may take a day, it could take a year. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
it just depends on your soul's, your soul's mission and the timing. I really do believe that there is this perfection and timing in everybody's life down to the minute. I really truly believe that. I've had that experience happen to me so many times. And
Mm-hmm.
these shoulds that come and creep in, they should not be shoulds because it's just not the right time just yet.
Yeah. Exactly. The when the should comes up, that's what you should just like toss it away. Because when I follow my heart and my soul, all these synchronicities happen and all these you start to notice these things. And one of the interesting things that happened when I started doing art again, so my mom was an artist and so was like my great grandmother, and I guess you could say even my grandmother, and my daughter's an artist, and like all my kids are artistic, right? So it's just like this, it's like in the family, right? And when I was a kid, my mom made ceramics and she created all these designs and patterns and she put them all over these ceramics. And I grew up in a house where everything was made of ceramic. And one of the stages she went through, like in the 60s or 70s, I'd say probably 70s, was she made this pattern of these mushrooms and it was on everything. Elaine, it was like everywhere. Like the paper towel holder was ceramic with mushrooms on it. The pie plate, the dishes, everything was like mushrooms. And I have all of my mother's patterns that she created. And like very recently, like a few months ago, I took this art workshop on pattern making, right? And it was about creating these patterns and then learning how to put them on different things and learn. And it was so much more difficult than I realized. And then right in that moment, like those two things were like separate, like, you know, like I had the patterns when I moved, so I noticed them, but then I didn't think about them much, right? And then I took this class, but then when I realized this is what my mom did, but she did it without computers.
Mm.
And I was like, it's like, it was just like this moment of like, look at what I'm stepping into. Like, I'm learning how to do something that my mom did. And it wasn't even like I didn't do it for that reason. It just kind of like happened. It was like happenstance. Like, I just kind of, and I just thought it was so cool. And now I'm going to take some of her patterns and like put them on stuff. So like I could put her patterns on fabric where she used to make all her own clothes, you know? And so I just think that when you're doing something that's almost supposed to be happening, it just flows like that. You know what I mean? And you start to notice all those little like synchronicities and those things that just have this connection and this commonality, you know? And I think it's really cool. And so once you start noticing it, it's almost like infectious and you want to see more of it, you know?
It's so infectious. I love
Yeah.
that story. And what comes to my heart when I hear you talk about your mom's patterns is the joy that you must have felt that you were doing that's having that same experience as your mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we are so thinking because of social media and anything else that we expose ourselves to, that happiness and joy and fulfillment are these big bang experiences. And instead, they're just these tiny little joyful moments
Mm-hmm.
that all add up. And
Yeah.
I could just kind of sense your body feeling that just that joy that bubbled up in the moment of knowing you were doing that same thing as your mom.
Yeah, yeah. I was literally like painting, and next to me was this ceramic thing my mom made that had all her paintbrushes in it and some of mine, and like I'm using her paintbrushes, and on that ceramic thing is her pattern that she created, and I was just like, oh, this is my mom did this. This is what my mom did. She didn't do it for a living. She did it for fun, and she taught other people how to do it. And I was like, it was just like ding, ding, ding. I was like, I never like put that together until just this in this moment. And it just made me so excited. I was so jazzed up about it. I told my dad, and I don't know if he was as excited as I was, but I was very excited. And I think that when you notice those moments in your life, like whatever that is for you, really paying attention to it, like and acknowledging it, and that's and then choosing that direction. Just choose more of that, when it feels good like that. And that's what I've been doing. And I can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait to see where that drags me, and where I'll go from there. Who knows? And I just think when you live your life that way, it becomes very adventurous and so interesting. It might not be interesting to somebody else. Somebody else might be like, "Oh yeah, that's so exciting, pattern making. That's so exciting, Tina." You know? But like you find what makes you excited and then that's your adventure. So it's almost like choose your adventure kind of thing. Like you're playing a video game and you're just choosing your adventure.
And every time you choose that adventure, and every time you have the feeling of joy and meaning and anything else positive that bubbles up, is very healing.
Hmm.
This is how we heal our life. And if I look back on the 50,000 patients that I had the privilege and the honor of observing, because look, I had their health histories in front of me. I understood what was causing them illness, sickness, cancers, growths on their skin, any ailment. I mean, I saw it. I saw
Hmm.
the human body in every form imaginable.
Yeah.
And I knew their mental, emotional too. And I knew that they were vulnerable sitting in that chair because who likes to go to the dentist? So there were just a lot of things working in my favor to be able to put pattern recognitions together to understand how the mind, the body, and the soul all converge to create health or to create disease.
Hmm.
And what I noticed was that the thing that caused illness in people were the lack of these joyful moments, the lack of following the urges and curiosities of their soul to guide them to feel joy,
Hmm.
even if it was just for a moment in time. And the other thing that I also recognized were people who did not trust and have faith in this voice they heard, in the higher mind,
Hmm.
in the soul that's speaking to us, call it the divine God, source, whatever you want to call it, when they were too fearful to say yes to what the urges were that were calling them.
Hmm.
And I had a patient named Jeff, and I had treated him for almost 12 years. And he came in, and I saw him every 3 months for 12 years. And he came in one day and he wrote on his health history, he circled cancer.
Hmm.
And I said, Jeff, what's going on? And he was probably in his mid 60s. He said, I was just diagnosed with prostate cancer, and they're telling me I only have a few months to live.
Oh my God. Jeez.
And I thought, oh my goodness, this is horrible. And so we sat with him, and just like him and so many hundreds and hundreds of people who were sick, What I gathered was a fear of connecting and trusting the divine, trusting the soul
Mm-hmm.
to guide you. Now, I say that carefully because it's just my observation of why illness happens in the body. Um, so he did come back 3 months later. He did make it through. In fact, he lived another 18 months. So I did see him a few more times after that. With chemo and radiation, it's important to have your teeth clean because you can get dry mouth and you can get cavities a lot. So I saw a lot of cancer patients and I
Mm-hmm.
got to really talk to a lot of them, try to understand what was happening in their life. And I said, Jeff, after a few months, I said, what are you learning right now? And he said, Elaine, don't wait to do what you really want to do. And I took that and ran with it because after
Mm-hmm.
that moment, about 2 months later, what had been calling me through all those years is to become a life coach. Now, I had
Yeah.
essentially been doing that for 50,000 people because,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I just had that opportunity to sit with people and talk with people and help people and mainly just listen to people. As you
Mm-hmm.
know, as a great coach, we're really there as a sounding board listening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I dropped the instruments. I heard the calling, go to life coach school, and I did. And the minute I got there, my very first day in class, whatever was spoken in that first 30 minutes, Tina, I wrote down on a piece of paper, I am home.
So
I
it's like you knew
listened,
it.
I listened to the call. I heard Jeff. I had put together all the pieces of 50,000 patients. I knew where I was in my own life, with being divorced and being burnt out in healthcare and wanting a different path for myself and listening to the call of what maybe my superpower could be and how could I put that into a different environment and actually enjoy that more. And so life coaching was just perfect for me.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you ask me what else is new, this other calling of energy medicine is now, bubbling up in the last 18 months because I say to myself, well, I did that already for 20 years. And I've been
Mm-hmm.
actually doing that my whole life just as a sensitive person. And now I've got this modality to help people tune into their bodies so that they know where all the guidance is coming from. They
Yeah.
they will know.
And I think that energy healing is just a big part of being a life coach, whether you know you're doing it or not, right? And really stepping into it, it kind of like acknowledges it and it honors it. And I think that it's like for me, it's like one of the first things that I do with people, because going back to what we said earlier, you can't do anything until you feel safe in your body. And to feel safe in your body, you really have to do like energy healing and somatic work and all those things, so I just feel like it's almost like the first step, you know. And I remember when I first started, like when I think of where I started, my first client was this young man who he wanted to lose weight. And I remember telling him, he was such a sweet guy, but I remember saying, I'm not a weight loss coach. I was like, I am a health coach too. I said, but I'm not a weight loss coach, and I don't have any experience in helping a man lose weight. And he still worked with me, and that was my first client. And he taught me so much. But like you said, I needed to have him as my first client to learn some things, and it just kind of pushed me in a different direction, and it made me like really zone in on what I wanted to do, which was help someone like who I used to be, move forward quicker. Like as you said, it took you 10 years to regulate your nerve. Me too, but it can be done quicker if you have a little bit of support, right? So that was like my goal to help somebody else not do it in 10 years, do it in like a lot less time, right? So yeah, it's so funny thinking of that man now when I think about working with him. So funny. It's just so like not what I do. So hilarious. But so talking about energy healing, so that's just a very like broad topic. So if you had to define energy healing, how would you define it?
So we are pure energy. Our our bodies, our physical bodies, are dense with matter, yes.
Hmm.
That's true. We can see and feel our hands. We can touch our knees. We can touch our head. But also know that the way this dense matter came to be was because the energy, let's say, of your soul gathered all of this vibration together and brought it down into physical form. So that's why we say um, our soul is not in our body.
Hmm.
Our body is in this bigger sphere of a soul. And the
Yeah.
soul is infinite. It will never die. The energy of it and the frequency and vibration will always be in motion. And so, how do we work with the energy that we know we are to help our physical body while our physical body is still is here and living and breathing?
Hmm.
And how do we harness this beautiful vibration of a soul's energy? And how do we harness that energy and have it help us and even heal us? And so the healers of the world, we're not healers, we are facilitating the healing. The individual is always its own healer, as you know.
Hmm.
And so what I do with the Nemus Code is I help people harness their soul's vibration, which is pure loving energy, and I help them bring it into their body and have that perfect, unique vibration that is only you heal yourself. Now, the way the Nemus Code came about was also interesting. I had practiced my own method, the Get Quiet Way, for a lot of years, and I had
Hmm.
become the lightness of being. You know, it's interesting because if we really want to get scientific, our mitochondria, which, as you know, is the energy cells in our body, when this energy medicine is put into play, and it is all play, by the way, it's not to be taken seriously because it really is just you're playing with your own energy and it's really fun.
Hmm.
The mitochondria light up, and that light, we are just pure light because our mitochondria soak in that light, and we really are beings of light.
Hmm.
And that's the fun part when you really tune in. You're like, oh my gosh, I feel so lit up. I feel so energized, and I don't know why. It's because your body is resonating. Your little mitochondria cells are so lit up and so happy when you do this work. And that is very healing to people. And we've had a lot of success with people who have done this method, who have been in the hospital, who have been not able to breathe. And 2 days later, after doing this on their own, they can breathe again and they're out of the hospital. These are stories that are happening all the time. And the way this came to me was because I had done my own method. I had been such a clear vessel of receptivity to the field. And these things come to you when you are clean and clear, and meaning your body is healthy, your mind, your emotions are healthy, your environment is healthy. So all the toxicity goes out of your life,
Hmm.
which is the lifestyle that we talked about earlier. And what comes are things from the field, which is all pure potential for you, and it comes into your life like the Nemus Code came into my life. I did not see that coming. That came out of left field to me. I thought I was just going to get right, get quiet, and that was it.
Hmm.
But what I didn't know was that there was something else, even more special.
Yeah.
that was to come. And so I had a dream one night. And I don't know about you, but I get a lot of things in dreams. And I'm sure a lot of your
Yeah.
listeners who are sensitives also get things in dreams. So I clearly heard the Nemus Code, and I clearly heard energy medicine will be the future of all real healing. Okay. So I wrote that down because I write everything down and I'm a writer.
Yeah.
So then I heard don't eat sugar, stay clean and clear, and all the energy points, and you'll understand what this is in the next 6 months. Okay. And that was true. One day I went on a walk and I live in beautiful Arizona. And I've got Mummy Mountain on one side, Camelback Mountain on another. It was a beautiful spring day. And I just went for a walk innocently. And all of a sudden, I start to get these downloads of all the energy points.
That's
And I
cool.
and I didn't really know what it was because it was a few months after that dream. So I really wasn't thinking like that, oh, this is it, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just started to write them all down. I started to get my phone out and just voice text them in my phone to just capture it all because it was flooding in like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is it. And they were 8 energy points that fit perfectly into the Get Quiet Way pattern. And just fit like a lock and a key, like it was just the missing piece. And
Mm-hmm.
I just got quiet enough to hear it. And that's why I say we all have innovative ideas that are helping humanity right now, but we have to get quiet enough in the way that I describe it, or any other way that you personally can get that nervous system regulated and clean and cleared out to be that clear vessel of receptivity to help humanity.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's a beautiful story. I love that. Um, so talk about the Nemus code. Like what exactly is it?
So it's 8 energy points that you tune into your body in a certain pattern. And if you'd like, I can take you through them. I know we only have a few minutes, but I can take you through them. And they're also on my website too at elaineglass.com.
Okay.
So you can also go and look at them and do this on your own as well.
Yes, yes, let's do it.
Okay. So if you would like, you can close your eyes or keep them open, and just whatever helps you get into a relaxed state.
Okay.
And you can take a deep breath in and out. And this is for the purpose of healing and connecting to all you need to know to be your own guru. The first energy point is our abdomen area. Take a deep breath in and out. Tune in. Tune in to your abdomen area. Keep breathing. This is where all creation happens. This is where women create life if they've had children. This is an area that goes through so much energy shifting, especially with women's cycles, perimenopause, menopause, childbirth. Tune in. Take a deep breath in. Exhale out. We're going to move to the next energy point, which is up to the heart region. Tune in. Take a deep breath in. and out. Tune in to your heart. You can even, if you're called, put your hands on your heart. Keep tuning in to your heart. Notice any feelings, notice any imagery, colors, images, visualizations, memories. Keep breathing. We're moving up to the head region. This is the third energy point. You're shifting energy right now as you speak. You're lighting up your mitochondria. Your body loves to feel this energy shift. Now you're up to your head region. Tune in. Keep breathing. This involves not just the top of your head, but your eyes, your nose, your ears, your lips, your mouth, your throat. Deep breath in and out. What stands out to you right now in this region? Make a mental note. Beautiful work. We're going to head down now to the hips. Place each hand on each hip. Our hips are cup-shaped, called the ilium. And in that space, we can have stuck energy, not be able to move. And they say we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. I see that we carry the weight of the world in these cup-shaped ilium. Now, again, we're playing. Take your fingers and imagine pulling out any stuck energy from each hip. Literally grasp it and pull it out. Grasp it, pull it out. Keep repeating this. It feels so good. Take a deep breath in and out. Keep pulling. And when you feel ready, place your palms back on each hip and send that area love. We're headed down to the feet. In specific, the tops of our feet and exactly where the leg meets the foot. And there's a crease there. Focus and tune in to that energy point. You can even lift your feet up and down, so that you really tune in to that crease. Then relax your foot once you've got the spot. And imagine the bottoms of your feet projecting light beams down to the earth and grounding to the center of the earth. Big breath in and out. Now imagine taking all of that light beaming downward, transferring it up to the crease of your foot. And now imagine the light beams shining up to the heavens above. And as they shine up, they just brush the front of your forehead, the prefrontal cortex. They bump up off of that forehead and they shine up into the universe. That light gathers all the healing, all the love, all potential, and shines back down upon you, showering you with healing. We're almost there. You're doing great. We're going to head up to the knees and specifically the kneecap. This is an area that helps us heal so we can move our life forward in the best positive direction. Now we're playing here. The visualization is to lift up each kneecap in your mind's eye. Deep breath in and out. Visualize what's coming out of each kneecap. Is there energy? Is it dark? Is it light? Is it coming out fast or slow? Tune in to your kneecaps. Now, visualize placing both kneecaps back on your knees, not too tight. Gently place them back. Place your hands over each knee and send it loving energy through your hands. next to last energy point, your tailbone. Tune in to your tailbone now. If you'd like, you can even place one hand behind you in that area. Your hands are very healing. You can give it a few taps with your fingers to wake up that energy. We sit a lot, stuck energy. Sometimes we have fallen various ways to harm that region of our body. This is the region of intuition. If the energy is stuck, our intuition is stuck. Keep tapping and waking that area up. One last deep breath in and out. The last energy point are the tops of your shoulders. Here we will crisscross our arms and place both hands on opposite shoulders, simulating almost a big hug for ourselves in the work we've done today. Knowing that the tops of our shoulders have a slight opening, and that opening creates a space for light to project upward into the heavens. Once again, being able to gather all of the love, all of the healing, and project down, back down upon us. Showering us from the tops of our head down to our chin, the light extending down into our hearts, continuing down into the hips, the light continuing down to shower us down to our feet, all awakening us, and that light coming back up into the shoulders, you can gently open your eyes when you're ready and place your hands down in your lap and wake up a bit slowly if you'd like. You've just experienced the Nemus Code energy modality. If there's anything you want to note or write down, any sensations or visualizations, so you don't forget them, now would be the time to do that. You may want to also make note of any dreams you have tonight or any intuitive thoughts or hits that you have in the next day or two as well.
That was wonderful. That was absolutely wonderful. I feel very relaxed right now. I think I needed that. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. I feel like I'm going to go back to that quite often. That was absolutely wonderful. And this would be the kind of thing that you could do in the morning, and start your day. What a beautiful way to start the day.
That's right. Anytime you feel called, it is there for you.
So, where can people connect with you? and find you?
Yes, they can connect with me on my contact page at elaineglass.com. And I'm also on Instagram at elaineglass.author.
Wonderful. I want to thank you for coming on today and sharing with us, and also that beautiful meditation slash visualization experience. That was absolutely wonderful. And I would encourage everyone to check out your book, which I know it's on your website because I was snooping around there earlier. I saw that. So thank you once again. It's been a pleasure having you on, and I hope to have you back again at some point.
Tina, thank you so very much. I loved our time together.
Yes, me too. Thank you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, I'd love it if you could leave a review. It helps get the show in front of more people who might need this type of support. And if you're ready to take your everyday self-care even deeper, come join us inside the Soul Aligned Life Patreon. Every week, you'll get new self-care practices and tools to help reduce stress and overwhelm. Plus, we do a monthly reset to keep you aligned and supported always. You'll find the link in the show notes, and I'd love to see you there. Until next time, be sure to take good care of yourself. Love you. Bye.